Hello everyone, Lytro Storm here, and today I'm finally giving you the finale of What If Kenny and Lilly Swapped Places. In this video, we'll be covering all of the final season, which also means we finally get to see what Kenny would look like if he swapped places with Lilly, and not just following Lily's side of the events. So if you aren't already caught up in the series, make sure you go watch the first 4 parts, as they are crucial to understanding what's going on and what's happened with Lily's character going forward within the story. But if you are all caught up, then let's go ahead and get straight into the video. The first episode of the final season begins with Lilly, Clementine, and AJ riding around in a car until they stop for supplies. This goes pretty much the same, but with some added dialogue from Lilly. AJ is also probably less on edge due to Lilly being there to help Clem parent, but she's not exactly the best at it given her harsh upbringing. They end up crashing, knocking Clem and AJ out. Lilly is still conscious though, seeing the walkers around the car be killed slowly. She gets out to fight off the remaining walkers and sees 2 people around Clem's age with weapons. They briefly exchange words before the 2 tell her to grab her friends and come with them. Lilly picks up the unconscious Clementine while one of the people grabs AJ. Lilly then follows them until they're safe, where she asks who they are. The guy introduces them as Marlon and Violet. They take her back to the boarding school, where Clem and AJ eventually awake. Not much really happens on the first night, but I do think the group wouldn't like the fact that Lily's a grown-up. But it would be possible for them to soften up to her once they see that she's pretty alright. The 3 meet the other kids, with Mitch and Willie probably thinking Lily's eye patch is cool, if you have eye patch Lily. The next day, Marlon asks Lily and Clem to help out with getting food, as it'd be a good way to help the group and make them like them too. The options would be between hunting and fishing, the latter of which Lily probably has a dislike toward. It's not a known fact or anything about her, but her not liking fishing is pretty neat foreshadowing for later on. Anyway, Lily probably goes with whatever option you don't pick. She'd like Brody and might want to empathize with Violet, but doesn't really know what she's been through. As for Lewis, she'd think he's funny. He kinda reminds him of someone she knew before, someone who helped her through the darkest time in her life. But Lily would probably opt to back a sim up whenever it comes down to actually trying to get food. Eventually they meet up and decide to go back to the place they checked out at the start of the episode. Lily would likely choose to keep watch with Violet, which leads to her seeing Abel approach the building. She springs into action, attempting to apprehend him from behind, which she's able to do. She holds a knife to his neck, telling him to drop the gun. Abel tells her that she's gonna let go of him. Lily asks why, and he replies that if she doesn't, he'll fire his gun, and then they all die to the dead anyway. Lily looks over to Violet before finally relenting, allowing Abel to get free. He turns his gun on her, telling her to go in there and tell her other friends to leave whatever they're trying to get. Otherwise, things might end badly for the other 2 out there. Lily is forced to go inside and tell Clem to leave the supplies, which AJ protests. Clementine can do the same, choosing to either go outside with Lily or continue packing. If you go outside, Abel smirks before allowing the 3 to leave, while he goes in and takes their stuff. AJ doesn't like it though, so he aims his gun at Abel as he walks in. The 2 have a similar interaction to the cannon one, where Abel wagers that he's faster than the boy. Lily tells AJ not to shoot, as it'll only attract the walkers even if he takes this guy out. They're forced to just let him steal their stuff. If Clementine refused to leave, Lily would hide behind the entrance, jumping Abel as soon as he walks in. The 2 would wrestle over the gun, being pretty even. AJ can't really get a clean shot though, forcing Clem to shove him out the window and into walkers. They then escape with the supplies, making it back to the school. So Lily being here means that you either get all the supplies or none of them. Getting none makes Marlon and Brody more upset than in canon, and also just makes the others less trusting of Lily since she's just another adult who messes things up for them. They go to sleep with Lily standing in the group either being neutral or really bad. But of course, Clementine awakes to hear voices in the pipes. She heads outside to investigate, going below the school. From here, things play out mostly the same, with Brody meeting her end and Marlon trying to frame Clementine for it. But here, Lily is having absolutely none of that. She demands to know where Clementine is until she walks up behind Marlon herself. Once again, everything lines up and Marlon is gunned down by AJ. Following that, most of the group is adamant on Lily, Clementine, and AJ being kicked out, so that's what happens. Lily does her best to try and help AJ understand what was wrong with his actions, as she can relate to what he did. That was what led to her separation from the initial group after all. Anyway, the 3 get escorted out into the woods, where they quickly run into trouble. A gunshot is fired, and they all hide behind trees. Clementine sees that the man who tried robbing them is there, and so she tries to off-guard him, knocking him to the ground. Just as she's about to start getting answers or just kill him off, Abel smirks, and Lily hits the dirt. Clementine is about to turn around when a rifle is placed against her back. Abel gets up quickly, retrieves a shotgun, and disarms AJ before twisting his arm. Abel informs his ally that these 3 gave him quite the run yesterday, and that they'll make good additions to their ranks. His partner doesn't reply, simply relieving Clementine of her knife and putting his boot onto Lily's neck. As he begins demanding answers, Clementine turns to face him and sees none other than Kenny. He looks at her and realizes it's Clementine as well, and immediately looks down to see who the woman is. Lily and Kenny meet eyes, both faces filled with surprise. Kenny steps off of her, allowing her to stand up with Clementine. Kenny now has a similar reunion scene with Clem as Lily did canonically, but now Lily is present here as well. So it's pretty much a double reunion. But there's obviously some bad blood between Lily and Kenny. Oh yeah, and Kenny also has both eyes since he never met Carver here, although it is possible that he lost the eye in the war or something. He informs Lily and Clementine of the Delta, offering them to live there in exchange for convincing their friends to join them as well. There's a war going on, and it sucks to admit, but they need every hand they can get. That's why he struck a deal with Marlon to take some of his friends. In canon, Lily probably genuinely thinks what she was doing was right, and it was good for her people, but it's obviously an ends justify means scenario. As for Kenny, I think he'd be fully aware that kidnapping kids is kinda messed up as well, but he doesn't really seem to care in the cases of Ben and Arvo, where he just treats them like trash even though they're really young. So I don't think it's out of character here either, especially due to his time with the Delta. Obviously, Clem and Lily don't want to go with this plan, with Lily confronting Kenny about what he did to her father. Kenny just tells her that he was looking out for his family, but now, he's trying to save more people than just that. After some time, a distraction is caused by Lewis and Violet, allowing Lily, Clem, and AJ to escape. Abel fires a shot, but since Lily is probably behind Clem and AJ to keep them safe, she'd be the one hit by it. They make it out of there and are saved by James. Lily thanks James for helping to patch her up, and they travel back to the school the next day. Here, they prepare the kids for war. They still wouldn't like Lily, Clem, or AJ, but they didn't like them even when it was just Clem and AJ, so nothing really changes here. Time passes, and Lily pulls her own weight and proves herself to be an asset. She's probably got the best survival skills out of anyone else here, including Clementine by this point, due to her time in the Air Force and going through a lot of the same events Clementine did, plus her time with the New Frontier. Anyway, the night of war is eventually reached, and our group has to fight Kenny, Abel, and the rest of the soldiers. Mitch attempts to jump Kenny, but gets killed in the process. After that, the main fight begins, with Clem and AJ retreating inside the school with a few others. The battle with Abel happens the same way, while Lily is still outside helping to fight off Kenny's forces. This is where we would see Kenny and Lily finally square off after all these years, but it doesn't really look good for Lily here. You see, Kenny in Season 2 is really strong and durable, making him a crazy powerhouse. And Lily in Season 4 has her training from the Delta, where she is literally fighting wars, and we see the fruits of her combat training when she easily overpowers Clementine. We even have a person who worked on the game actually saying that Lily would demolish Season 2 Kenny in a fight by this point. But Kenny is noted due to his extreme strength, so it's possible that he would still be able to contend with Lily, it's just Lily also has strength and is far more skilled. However, a lot of that probably came from her training in the Delta. But now we have a Kenny who is already kinda tracking with Lily in strength by Season 2, and also has that same Delta training, whereas Lily doesn't have it in this timeline. I doubt the New Frontier was like super extensive with their training, although Ava and David are both vets, so maybe Lily could have been trained in some way there. But it wouldn't be nearly as extensive, and I'd assume her time with the Delta was probably a lot longer. So after taking all of these things into account, Kenny should just destroy Lily here in a one-on-one. Luckily, we do have other characters that could help, as well as Rosie the dog, who could put some work in on Abel. With these factors in mind, as well as Kenny being somewhat conflicted, fighting old faces and teenagers, I imagine they'd be even more even. Once Clem and Abel crash into the ground, Kenny would be barely defeating Lily, with Clem rushing in to try and save her. She attacks the now tired Kenny, barely causing him some injury, but just not doing that much overall. Kenny tells Clementine that he'd hoped things could have been different after they saw each other again, before reminiscing on Lee. He either sees him as his best friend, his enemy, or somewhere in between. But Lee died to get her here, and Kenny hates having to be the one to snuff out his last wish. He aims his rifle before Lewis/Violet tackles him, only to be knocked away by his gun easily. By then, Clementine has rolled away and grabbed her bow, which she quickly aims to ward Kenny away. He lays down cover fire while his soldiers take Lewis and Violet, forcing Clementine to only be able to save one. As Kenny tries fleeing, battling through the undead, he turns to face Clem before leaving in a blaze of fire. AJ finds Lily, who is regaining consciousness, and the group realizes that they now have a prisoner, Abel. They question him the next morning, with Lily being quite brutal due to her anger at Kenny. This could potentially stress Clementine out, since Lily has a huge influence on AJ here, and if your Clem isn't down for torturing people, then she wouldn't like it. Alternatively, she could share the same anger at losing, but bottom line, they get their answers and make a plan to find James and get a herd to attack the Delta ship. The party goes mostly the same, but with Lilly also sharing her story on why she's so full of anger toward Kenny, and how even after all this time, she still hasn't fully gotten over it. She could also reference Jane and Sarita, since both of them were key people in her life. The group eventually heads out after getting James to help them, and they attack the ship at night. I think Lilly would probably handle the bomb, while Clementine and her buddy head onward to free everyone. There they meet Minnie, who tries to double-cross them. Luckily, Lilly shows up and fights her off, which allows Clementine to free Asim and Omar, with Lewis being freed as well, or Violet fighting Clementine and losing. Either way, as they make an attempt to escape, Dorian returns with Kenny, and the two force everyone back into their cells. Lilly gets locked up with Clem, and Kenny decides to give the two props for what they've managed to do. If he brings them back to the Delta, they'll be unstoppable. And if we fight back, Lilly asks, "You'll kill me too, won't you, Kenny? Just like my father." Kenny groans. "Ugh, you're still on that? Nah, I won't kill you." He then goes on to explain the parable of the twins to her, with Minerva revealing that she killed Sophie. Kenny ends by saying that if she fights back, it won't be him to take her out. Someday far out, when the others are happy with their new lives, they'll see her jeopardizing all they worked for. And just like Minnie, they'll take care of it themselves. Clementine's response to this varies, but it's something like, "It won't be me." But Kenny isn't so sure. He reminds Clem of what Lee did when she got taken all that time ago. Lee tore across half of Georgia to keep her safe. He then gestures to Dorian. "Bring out the boy." Clem and Lilly step forward, only to be met by Kenny and Minnie aiming their weapons at them. Kenny then steps out of the cell, kneeling down to AJ's level, where AJ threatens to end him like he did to Marlon. Kenny sees AJ and shows a bit of restraint before returning to his usual strong talk, just drawing the comparison between Lee keeping Clem safe and how Clem might need to make some hard choices if she wants to do the same for AJ. He then takes him up to the top of the ship, leaving a fight to break out, and as a result, the group breaks out too. Lilly and Clementine head up to save AJ, seeing Ten stand up to Kenny. Kenny doesn't act as tough as Lilly did here though, telling Ten not to pull the trigger. He's not his enemy. He can give him a good life, like one they used to have before. Ten begins breaking down and Kenny confiscates the gun, attempting to put it away, but AJ bites his hand. James attacks the random Delta soldier as Clementine and Lilly spring into action against Kenny. He's easily able to handle either of them alone, but together with the support of AJ, it's a lot harder for him to keep up. This results in Lilly stabbing him and AJ getting the gun. He aims it at Kenny, who tells the boy not to do it. He's got people back home that he cares about. He doesn't want to miss their lives, like he did for his own family. As Clementine, you can choose whether to have AJ shoot him or not, but if you choose not to, Lilly takes the gun and does it herself. This shift in her character, once again going back to the anger at past events, culminates here. Clem and the others don't have much time to react though, as the bomb explodes, putting all of them off balance. Clem and AJ escape, reuniting with the others, including Lilly. They fight their way out of the battle scene, making it into a cave with James. There, James confronts Lilly and Clementine for teaching AJ brutality, where they just 2v1 him and beat him up. As Clem, you can either feel justified or show regret and disappointment at yourself or Lilly. AJ wants to be trusted with big decisions, now that either he has shown how strong he can be, or Lilly has shown him. They continue on, where they start to cross a bridge, before Minerva shows up with an army of the undead. They have a brief scuffle where Lilly and Clem once again destroy their opponent. Clem does get her leg cut up though, which is unfortunate, but they carry on, with either Lewis/Violet dying, or AJ killing Ten. Here, if AJ killed Ten, Lilly will see just how far she's pushed AJ, and she will regret her previous actions. They fight on, getting separated, but Lilly helps to protect Clementine from being bitten, instead being bitten herself. It can either be on the arm or the leg, but it doesn't really matter overall. And honestly, a cool effect could be that if AJ doesn't kill Ten, Lilly doesn't see how far she pushed AJ, so then she actually doesn't defend Clem as much, which leads to Clem being bitten still. And then that would be like the realization moment for that path. I think that could be really cool, actually. Anyway, they make it to the barn, putting up a final stand, with both Lilly and Clem starting to succumb to their injuries before AJ cuts off the bitten limb. He manages to get them back to the school with the help of either Clem or Lilly, depending on who got bit. And with that, our survivors live on peacefully, with Clementine just having a really bad injury that'll mostly heal up eventually if she didn't get bit. And that marks the end of What If Lilly and Kenny Swapped Places. This series didn't hugely impact the timeline of events, but it definitely added a lot of unique stuff into the mix. Lilly's arc spanning all 4 seasons was pretty awesome to write, and tying it into other characters like Sarita, Jane, David, Kenny, and of course Clementine helped to make things way more interesting. Writing a Kenny who joined the Delta was kind of difficult, as it's kind of hard to imagine him doing that, but then whenever you actually dive deeper into Kenny's character, it kind of makes sense, honestly. And I think I found a good way to make his character fit that role without just being a carbon copy of Lilly. Hence why I kind of went in depth and tried to give voice lines and actual dialogue. But yeah guys, this series has been a wild ride. It's such a cool concept to switch these two characters who were originally from season 1 and were at odds, and both of them for some reason ended up returning in later seasons. I think that's such a cool idea, and I'm really glad that I got to execute it so well across 5 whole parts. Let me know if you would have preferred this version of the events, and if you think it's a happier ending than it was in canon. As always, a huge shout out to our channel members, Kyler Fiend, Wax and Parrotfish, Ellie the Plug 2, Paul Keen, Hazy Brush, I Am Bored, Roderick Hare, Raven, Marco DeCinco, Crayman, Very Classy Demon, Hunter Johnson, Sam Malum, Davisville 84, Willie, and Yuki. If you want to also have your name be read out at the end of every video, as well as awesome perks like exclusive community tabs and also access to early videos, then make sure you become a channel member for just $2.99 a month. It supports the channel a lot and lets me know that you guys want to see more content. But as always, tell me if you like this series, comment your requests for future videos, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.